Hello, you're welcome to another edition of Coding for AI. My name remains Vincent Hope. Today, we're going to continue our lessons on building an AI chatbot, lesson 8. And in this lesson, we're going to be talking about refactoring into functions. Now, this lesson is actually going to be more of explanations than running code. So let's jump right into it. Now, question is, what is refactoring? Refactoring means reorganizing your code to make it cleaner, easier to read, and easier to manage without changing what it does. In other words, or going further, think of it like tidying your desks. You don't throw away anything, you just put everything where it belongs. So it is easier to find and use later. So in other words, to reorganize and refactor your code is that you arrange your code in such a way that it is easier for you or any other user or coder to understand what exactly is happening within your code. So that is what we mean by refactoring. So remember, our topic is refactoring into functions. Now, point number 2, why do we use functions? Remember, it's refactoring into functions. So the question is, why do we use functions? A function is a block of code, very important, that does one specific task. A block of code that does one specific task. We can reuse it as many times as we want without writing the same code over and over again. Now, what is the benefit of functions? 1, to organize your code. That is what a function will do. Secondly, avoids repetition. Thirdly, it is easier to test and debug. That means to look for errors. Number 4, easier to read and understand. So the 4 functions of the 4 roles or function of functions, or the 4 major things that functions do for you in your code, is to organize your code, make it look properly arranged, avoid repetition so I don't have to repeat certain codes, easier to test and debug. That means you can test each cell or test each block of code and find where the errors are, then easier to read and understand. Now, let's continue. Let me scroll down a bit. Now, look at this block of code, this full code. This is the original code without functions. Before refactoring, all the code might be in one place like this. For example, we used the difference library in the last lesson. So from difference library, import gets close matches. User input equals to how do I reset my password. The knowledge base equals to question how do I reset my password. Click forgot on login page. Question 2, how do I change my email? Answer, go to settings and update your mail. So this is the knowledge base. Question equals to if question q in questions for q in kb questions. Matches equals to get close matches. User input questions, let it be equal n equals to 1, cutoff 0.6. If matches questions, matches 0 for q in questions. If q in question equals to question, print q. Now this is the whole code in one block. The whole code in one block. Now this works, but it is messy and hard to reuse. So let's redefine it. Let's redefine it. Okay, let me go down here a bit. If I run this code, let me run this code. I run this code. Like I said, it's not much about coding. It gives me the output. Click forget password, or forget password on the login page. So when I click print, when I run the code, it generates this output. It says click forget password. Okay. Now that is what it generates. Now what is important is not just what it generates, is that we want to redefine this into code blocks. Now the step 4, refactor into functions. Now we clean it up by putting parts of the code into functions. Now function 1, find the best match. Now the function, like we saw in our previous lesson, is where you define find best match. This can be any variable, but here we are using find best match. User input, KB, column, questions equals to Q, question for Q in KB questions, matches equals to get close matches, user input, questions, n equals to 1, cutoff 0.6, return matches, if match, else none. Now this definition of find best match covers all these procedures all together inside find best match. Now what does that mean? If we come back here a bit, we go up a bit, you see that we have a line of code from here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now all these ones are individual code, but we now put all of them, all these codes 1, 2, 3, 4 in one single block of code, that which we defined by this. Find best match, user, question 1, matches this, return. The user input is here, which is the first code, user input. This is the user input, is in this line of code here. Then the KB, which is the knowledge base, which is all here, has also been captured when we define the function. Then we also the questions and the matches. We have the questions and the matches. So questions and the matches all defined in this function, find the best match. So this is for function, find the best match. The second function, which is 2, get the answer. Now define get answer into question knowledge base, KB, for in KB questions, if Q questions equals to question, return this answer. Now first, like I said, even if I run this, it will not generate any output, but let's also run this too, also will not generate any output. But let's see what it has helped us to refactor or reuse or remodify. Now let's look at it here. Let's look at it now. Now we're talking about get answer question KB for Q in KB. Now let's see where that code started from the main process. Now the first function captured up to this point. The second function is capturing from here. From if this. It captures this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lines of code here are all captured in this get answer. Question KB, if for Q in KB questions, if Q, so all these codes are captured here. So in the coding, you can use just these two, first best match and get answer, and still perform the operation because the lines of code have been captured. So you can see that these two have organized these sets of code, this here and this here. Now let us quickly see what it does. Okay, for this code here, it looks for the exact match in the question in the knowledge base, which is this one, get answer, and returns the answer. Now, let's summarize what we have learned. Like I said, we are not running any code specifically here. We're just trying to understand how to refactor with function. So those without function and with function. Now, without function, the code is long and messy. With function, code is clean and organized. Without function, it is hard to reuse. With function, it is easy to reuse. Without function, it is hard to read and maintain. With function, it's easier to update or expand. Now, number 4, say repeat logic everywhere, centralized logic everywhere. Without function, it repeats the logic everywhere. With functions, it centralizes it. So now, if we now use the function together and rewrite the code, our main programs become short, clean, and clear. Let us look at it. From different slab, import, get close matches. Now, these are the functions we defined in the previous one. These are the functions we defined. The first function is find best match. So let us see it here. So find best match. We use the function F5 best match. You can see that the whole block of code is properly organized in a block. Then the second block of code, which is get answer, is also properly organized. This is the get answer function too. So you can see now that the code is properly arrayed. Define get answer in this code. Then the usage, this get answer. Okay, so example, so this code now is not run, inserted, and makes it very clean. Then the code is finally run, added, and run. If you now run it, run this code here, you still come out with the same output. Click forget password, which was the first thing was entered here. How do I reset my password? It now said what? Click forget password. If I enter this one here as the input, Control C, I paste it inside here, you will see that the output will change. How do I change my email? Okay, sorry, it's like I made an error. Okay, I copied this now. Okay, copy C, now paste it here. Okay, paste it here. How do I change my email? Remember, it's how do I forget password? It gave me this output. Now let me run this a bit. Run this a bit. Run this. If I run this now, it gives me another output, which is the output of the second one. Go to settings and update email, which is this code. So what have we been able to achieve so far? You discovered what this, by the time we have redefined it, it takes, say what it does, it takes what the user types, user input, which we already added in the code, compares it to the known questions in the knowledge base, finds the closest match, returns the question as we have explained. This other code below here, not really too necessary, it's just a repetition of the defined functions. So this is how you simply refactor. Look at the code. Let me put the code. This is how you simply refactor your code settings using functions. So you have to make your code look nice and clean. So I hope you have learned something in this lesson. My name remains Vincent Hope, your instructor. Thank you for watching and do have a blessed day.